Welcome to our this is our third art of storytelling with our virtual series. Today we got my man KC, Kenneth Crowley with the Crowley Foundation. You know what I mean? Been rocking with my man KC for a while now. Let me go ahead and hit my camera. Let me go ahead and get everybody to hit the cameras for me, please. While we started. Uh, my man KC, so the art of storytelling, this is our opportunity where we're going to our community.
Yeah.
Going to them, we're reaching out to them to have them come in and share stories of choices that they made that eventually made them. You have complete freedom, complete honesty, complete 100% how you want to run it. I want to hear your story, man. I want to hear what made KC. You know what I mean? Give it to us raw and uncut. And also, one more thing too, KC, please take note. If anybody makes any gestures, you know what I mean, any kind of hand gestures, like the clapping sign or anything like that, that's just a note that they got a question or something like that. So let's just be mindful of the hands and stuff like that in folks' screens. You know what I mean?
That's what's up. That's what's up.
It's on you. Go ahead, take off.
Well, bro, I just want to just first of all, thank you for this platform. I think what you're doing is commendable. I know you've been doing the art of storytelling for a minute, but under the current situation, we all have to be creative in how we get our message across. So I just want to, first of all, just commend you for doing this. And, you could have reached out to anybody, but you reached out to your boy. So thank you for having me this week, brother. So I don't know, brother, as I think really about, what made me, I think about my life being chopped up into chapters. And each one of those chapters has played a role in cultivating me into the person that I am. So I'll start at the beginning with my upbringing and my childhood. I was extremely blessed and fortunate to be raised in a loving two-parent household. I had a big family. So I got 4 brothers and a sister. I'm the youngest of 6. Most of my siblings were staggered. So that means they're either 1 year or 2 years apart. But when it got to my sister, who was the baby before me, there was an 8-year difference. So that's basically a whole generation, right? So it was hard for me to connect with my siblings on that level because the age difference was so huge. But at the same time, it was basically just having a house full of parents. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was telling me what to do and looking out for me and raising me and doing things of that nature. So that's one part of it. And then, my parents did an excellent job in terms of setting the foundation and laying the foundation for the expectations on my life. So I'm a first generation college graduate. My oldest brother went to college, but he didn't graduate. He actually had to leave school to help my father run his business. And we'll get into that later. But I'm from Denver. I went to Columbine Elementary School. I got bused to University Park when they thought busing was cool and introduced you to different neighborhoods and different communities, which was BS. I don't think that part of my life really helped make me the person that I am. It kind of pissed me off getting bused out to South Denver, but at the same time, it was kind of cool. It seemed cool at the time because I had my neighborhood friends with me. But coming from Columbine, Columbine's on the east side, and then getting bused to South Denver, predominantly, white neighborhood, white schools, getting looked at crazy, going to the principal's office on a regular basis, not being treated equal, not being treated fair. That was my first experience. I wouldn't really say racism, but it was my first experience in inequality, right? I seen how I was treated versus how my white counterparts were treated. And, that's when I really began to see some disparities in not really education, because You know, we talking third, fourth, fifth grade. I wasn't really game on paying attention to stuff like that, but I was paying attention to, you know, who gets sent to the principal's office. You know what I'm saying? So went to both of those elementary schools, went to Cole when it was a junior high school, and then I went to Merrill when it was a junior high school, and I went to Gove Middle School. After Gove, I went to Denver South, and I graduated from Denver South. After Denver South, I made my way to HBCU in Langston, Oklahoma, and I graduated from Langston with a BA in business administration / management. So, you know, in the beginning, like I mentioned earlier, you know, I had a lot of family support, you know, growing up on a block where, you know, majority of the homes had 2 parents in them. Most of the people on my block, we were raised by community. You know, it wasn't just my parents. Everybody literally looked out for each other.
Mm.
And those values helped me later in life as we begin to shape and form our organization and what that looked like. Um, you know, we stuck together. We had to be home before it got dark. You know, spending the night at the homie's house, all of those childhood things played a role in my adulthood.
Mhm.
So that's the first chapter. And so, like I said, after that, you know, man, I went to college. This is, you know, the next chapter of my life to what made me. And this is where I really began to walk in my own purpose, if you will. You know, anybody that's gone to college or been in the military or go away from home, you get your first piece of independence, right? You don't have to depend or ask your parents for anything. You're not really, you know, listening to any rules. You make your own rules. You know, you trust your own judgment. Those instincts kick in when you're out by yourself, especially when you're in another state. And if you don't know anybody, I was fortunate to go down there with one of my partners. And we also had some other homies that was down there at the time. So Langston and my college experience was really cool. Unfortunately, I lost my father when I was a freshman in college. So that really took me to a different space. I really don't think that my family, and we've never even had this conversation, but you know, the reality and the honesty is, bro, when you get older, you begin to look back and think and reflect just on how you was raised, and knowing what I know now, doing and providing the type of services that we do now, especially as we talk about mental health and, you know, men talking about some of their challenges and not being a good communicator, you know, and not going to the doctor, all, you know, all the stuff they say about us. You know, I really begin to start dealing with some of those things. And as I got older and just started seeing more death and really started helping some of our families and some of our students with death, I really began to think about how my family dealt with the loss of my father. And, you know, I obviously got the call, had to come home for the services. And I wasn't even really home long. You know, I just came home, buried him, and they sent me back to school. And I think that was the worst thing they could have did, you know, looking back at it. So, you know, I went back to school, bro, and I really started wilding out, doing stuff that I wasn't really doing in Denver, but doing it, like really doing it times 100. You know what I'm saying? Smoking weed. I was already smoking, but bro, I didn't care anymore. I smoked weed 7 days a week. Before I went down there, you know, I probably had a little more control, but then I was just like, F it. You know, my discipline is gone. You know, my partner is gone. You know, the person who kept me in line is gone. So it's time to just be my own man. But I didn't deal with it the right way. And looking back on it, I know I didn't deal with it the right way, but I wasn't taught. We didn't communicate how to deal with, you know, death. and the loss of death and things of that nature. So that's one of the things that we really try to bring home now, especially with our young people, is teaching them at an early age how to deal with that. So I see we got a question, so I'll pause right there.
Okay, so my question is, seeing that your brother wasn't able to finish college, did that motivate you to be the first one to finish college?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, let me tell you, well, I'll be really honest with this one. So the short answer is no, right? Because at the time, I didn't even know that my older brother had even went to college. You know what I mean? So I didn't even find that out until several years later, you know, before I had even been accepted at college doing what I was doing. So, you know, him going to college had no bearing on my decision to go to college. But what did have heavy influence was, like I mentioned earlier, I got 4 brothers and a sister. So that's 5 siblings. My oldest brother and my sister were the only 2 to actually graduate high school, right? So that's two out of 5. So that's less than 50%. So that motivated me to go. But then at the same time, my parents seeing that also motivated me and was staying on my helmet, like, you know, we need you to do this. So my mom's more so than my pops, but my mother was very influential in terms of me going to college.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Great question. And so just back to the mental health piece and dealing with that death. So, you know, like I said, I lost my pops when I was a freshman, and I just really kind of didn't accept it. I mean, I don't know what's considered normal, but I didn't accept it a normal way. So like I said, I acted out, I rebelled. You know, I was doing stuff that I had no business doing in college. And, you know, it's not that I'm ashamed to say, but it's not what college students should be doing. I was on academic probation for a few semesters. Man, I'm talking about walking around here with a 1 point GPA. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, I had a girlfriend when I went to Langston, but, you know, long distance got in the way. And so I ended up finding a young lady down there that really seen the potential in me, you know, and she seen something in me that I didn't see in myself. You know, she pulled me to the side. She was like, look, you know, I know these things are going on in your life. You know, I know you just lost your father. Your mother is sending this money down here, getting your bill paid, and you down here acting a damn fool. And, you know, there's something in you that I see, but I need you to start doing better. And so once we had that conversation, you know, man, I really started to buckle down and take my life and my future and my college experience a little more serious. And so my senior year, about to graduate, but I had to do an internship first. Did an internship for the university. I worked for the school's development fund, right? And so the development fund is responsible for collecting money and raising money and giving this money back to the students. So I thought this was a dope concept, and that's something that I wanted to bring back to my community and bring that back to the city of Denver. So that's where the first seed was planted for the Crowley Foundation. You know, I was like, I'm gonna take this concept back to the school. I mean, back to Denver, and I'm gonna help my people.
So what year did you graduate high school?
I graduated from Denver South, bro, in 1987.
So how did you stay out of that whole gang epidemic that was just then picking up?
Bro, back to my family, bro. I had a pops who did not play that shit. He just did not play it. You know what I'm saying? And he put the fear of God in me to where I had to make right choices. You know, it was either deal with him or deal with my friends. You know, peer pressure was real. I wasn't no punk, but I wasn't stupid neither. You know, I hung out during the day, but when, you know, when they was going to put in work and they was doing what they was doing, I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? Because I already knew, number one, the expectations that my parents and my siblings had for me and my life and my future,
So
right?
with that, with those expectations, and then you have the expectations that you got from your friends and stuff like that. How did that make you feel when you chose to do the right thing because you know your values is instilled through your parents? But then you got your homies like, oh, you old bitch ass nigga, you know, that kind of motive right there. How did you deal?
That's dope, bro. And that's funny you say that, because I had to deal with that. And you know, it kind of messed me up for a minute. I put it like this: the ones who didn't know my family, those were the ones that I really didn't care about. But those were the ones who always clowning, right? But the ones who knew my family, particularly the ones that knew my pops, they was like, yo, bro, you don't want to cross Mr. Crowley. And it was so cold to where he even had some of my friends in line like that. So, you know, it was something that I had to deal with, man. It was something that I had to deal with. Uh, and you know, I wasn't perfect. I was never, you know, jumped in or did nothing stupid. But I ran with a few homies. But like I said, when it was time to go and do what they did, bro, I gotta bounce. You either gonna respect me or, you know, call me names and do what you do. And I just have to live with that. So that part, you know, made me tough in terms of getting prepared for backlash. But at the same time, especially now, bro, they love me more now than back then, because, you know, they realize, you know, what I was doing and why I was doing it. But they just didn't see that. And unfortunately, you know, when you only have one choice or one option and you don't see outside that, then that's how you think. You know what I'm saying? Your mindset is like that. And so I had to deal with it, but I think that also prepared me, you know, for the person who I am. Peer pressure, bro, is real. Um, and you know, I'm a living, walking testimony about dealing with it, but at the same time, you know, how you come out on the other side, depending on how you deal with it. Are you prepared to take these names? Bro, call me what you want to call me, you know, but I'm living, you know what I'm saying? So it's that, you call it what you want to call it, I'm here. And so I just had to make those tough decisions, man, to, you know, fear my father over anybody else, you know. And a lot of my friends that was doing what they was doing, you already know the demographics, bro. They wasn't in those households that had that structure. So, like I said, I was just blessed to be in that situation and fortunate to be in that situation because my pops didn't play. You know what I'm saying? So that's what kept me out of that foolishness. That's what kept me out of it, man. And so, you know, back to my senior year when I was doing my internship, I did that. And like I said, I got that concept to come back and start that organization for my community. Graduated, but then got married and started a family like right after college. So that means all of my dreams and all of my wishes got put on the back burner because then life kicked in, right? So now you gotta
This
provide.
in
You
college.
know what I'm saying?
This to the
You
woman you
gotta
met in college, right?
provide. Yeah, go ahead.
This to the woman you met in college, right?
Yep.
Okay. Who you said who saw something in you that you didn't see in yourself.
Yep. Miss Jean, Mama Jean.
Yes.
Yep. So that's what it was, man. So came back, we got married, and then you know, KC was born, then my daughter Gianna was born. And so, like I said, the Crowley Foundation has always been, you know, in the back of my mind or in my spirit, but I couldn't move on it at the time because I had kids to raise. I had a family to raise. So this is another chapter of my life that helped to make me because, you know, again, them same values that I was raised on, we had to instill those into our kids, plus add some more, right? So Jameer said yesterday that he went to Union, Excel Institute. You know, we sent our kids there. We sent our kids there, bro, 94, 95, 96, 97. And so, you know, we had to make a real life decision in terms of what was important to us. And at the time, you know, 2 college graduates, you know, it was obvious to us that education was important. So we made a huge sacrifice and sent our kids to Excel, but it wasn't cheap because it's a private school.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, bro, that shit was more, that tuition at that school was more than the mortgage on our first house. So that's how serious we were about their education and their future. So again, you know, it's all about, you know, laying a foundation, instilling values, and just being your authentic self. So that's a whole, that's another chapter, right? Being a husband and then being a parent. So that chapter molded me because that particular chapter taught me how to be selfless, right? Because it's no longer about you. You got mouths to feed, you got other people depending on you. You got to provide. So you have to do whatever you have to do, and I will say whatever you have to do, bro, to make that happen, you know, and that's what I did. So I'll pause right there because I see another question.
But
Oh yeah, do you hold your kids to the same standards that your parents held to you, or are they slightly different? It's actually a little bit of both. So the beautiful thing about parenting is you can you make the fucking rules. You make the rules, right? So if you were raised on good values and a good system and you think that work, then you obviously want to keep that, right? But you can add or subtract to it what you think worked and what you think didn't work. So the short answer is yes. I instilled in them the same values, but I also added some more. So that it was slightly different. So one thing for me was, you know, my pops was born in 1928. He's from Mississippi. So, you know, that generation already has a mindset of not being too emotional. You know what I'm saying? For lack of better words, you know, their job is to protect and to provide. And that's what they did. I'm not mad at them for doing that because, you know, he did a damn good job of it. But at the same time, there was no affection, right? So, you know, hugging, there's no hugging, right? He never told me he loved me. Again, this is things you think about as you grow up and reflect on your life. It didn't bother me at the time because I just thought that was normal. But as I got older, particularly when I had my own children, you start to think about, okay, you know, how my mom did this, how my dad did that. And like I said, you just take bits and pieces from that. So knowing that my father never told me that he loved me, but knowing that I show and have this love for my own son, you know, it's important for me to show him and tell him, right? Actually say the words and then embrace him, let him know I'm proud of him, motivate him, encourage him, you know what I'm saying? Give him positive words and affirmations, you know, everything that I think he should need that my father didn't give to me. So to answer your question, you know, yes and yes. I held him to a high standard, and I still do to this day. Um, and you know, I flipped it a little bit and put my own little parenting twist on there. That answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And so, you know, again, this chapter of being a husband and being a parent started teaching me about providing and being selfless. You know, this is when I really started realizing that it was not about me. It's about my family and my wife, and how can I be a better a better man. And so, I mean, I graduated college 20, I was 20, I think I was 24. I was 23. And then within 2 years, I was married and had my first child. So I got married and had my first child at 25. So, you know, I didn't know anything about being a father other than, you know, what I seen my dad do. I didn't know, you know, you don't get no handbook with children. You don't get no handbook with marriage. At least you didn't back then. And so I just had to figure all of this stuff out, you know, on the fly and on my own. And so it was cool. I really love that part of my life. I really love being a parent to my children. It was just a super dope time in terms of our connectivity and the things that we did. Excuse me, and the things that we did in school, out of school. Yeah, they had to wear those uniforms that Jamar was talking about yesterday. But like I said, that actually shaped them. That laid the foundation for them. Now they didn't spend their whole school over there. They just were over there for the early stages and long enough to get a foundation, right? And then we put them in regular public school after that. But the foundation had already been laid that, you know, we don't play with our education. Education is serious. You will excel. You will be the top of your class. You know, you will respect your elders. You will say yes, sir, and no, sir, and yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. You look people in the eye when you have a conversation. You know, basic stuff that we think, you know, parents teach their kids. So we raise them on those standards. And then, you know, as they got older, I believe my daughter was in middle school at the time. She was at Rachel B. Noel. We lived in Montbello back then. So she was going to Rachel B. Noel. My son was a freshman at East. And so, you know, they were of the age to where, okay, they really not too dependent on me, right? So now I can start putting some work in on bringing this vision to life. So this is when, excuse me, this is when I started putting a pen to the pad for the Crowley Foundation. So in 2009, the Crowley Foundation was formed and became a legal entity with the IRS in the state of Colorado. And in the beginning, you know, I took those same principles from Langston that I had learned with doing my internship, and we just wanted to help kids get to college. So we created a scholarship fund. In the beginning, we were just, that's what we were, the Crowley Foundation Scholarship Fund. We raised money, we did back to school walks. The money that we raised, we bought school supplies, and we gave kids scholarships to go to college. That was cool, but then some more, you know, some more needs started popping up. And so my kids would come home, they were super excited about what we were doing. My kids would come home like, Dad, you know, no disrespect to nobody else, but, you know, they taking all of these white kids over here to these colleges and there's no black kids going. How, you know, can't you do something? I was like, yeah, we can do something. So we chartered a bus. I pulled up in front of East, and bro, we put 50 black kids on the bus and we took them up to Colorado State. That was our first campus tour, and that thing was huge. It was a super success. So then we started just doing campus tours around the state. Ended up taking a couple trips down to Langston, exposing the kids down to Langston, getting them exposed and connected. And now at this point, you know, we already had students at Langston. So when we took our high school students down there, you know, it wasn't nothing for them to get connected. So we were already starting to establish like a handoff. If you want to come here, you know, we already have students in place that you can connect with, you know, so they took them around, let them sit in their classes with them, get the lectures, you know what I mean? So it was a super dope experience. And then of course, with that piece being introduced, you know, we had to start doing, you know, more college prep stuff, ACT, SAT, prep learning and things of that nature. So that's when the college prep came into it. And then it kept growing and kept growing. You know, same conversation with my kids. One day my son comes home. Actually, I'll take that back. He doesn't come home. He calls me one day and he was like, can you come pick me up from school? Yeah, bro, I'll come get you. I go pick him up. This little dude got like 4 of his little homies with him. So I pile everybody in the truck and we just riding around. I'm taking everybody home. But it was in this moment when we would have these real player conversations. They would ask me about girls. They were telling me problems with these teachers, challenges they were having in school, how they didn't like their principal, how the system was broke, blah, 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 blah. And, I said, okay, this is cool. So I would just game them up just on some real information and experience. And they enjoyed it. Majority of them's father either wasn't in their life at all, or he just didn't live in the same house. And so, I would do that, pick him up. He got all his friends. We did that for a long time. He said, came to me one day, he was like, Pops, I think we got something with you talking to my friends. I don't know what you're talking about. He said, I think we need to figure out how to start, mentoring these boys or giving them some life skills or something. Because he said that's all they talk about every day in school. They don't even talk about the regular stuff no more. They keep talking about, is your dad gonna pick us up today? Is your dad gonna pick us up today? And so that's really how, Boys to Men started, man. So it was cool. It was cool. We didn't really know what we was doing, man. Phil, when you first jump out there, man, you just want to do the work. You know what I'm saying? You just want to do the work. You don't really have no format. You just know that you got this heart and the desire and this vision to just do stuff. So I was like, okay, let me we gonna pray about this. We're gonna figure this out. Let me see, who's doing something like this that I can just go get some quick gain from right quick. So back then, Narcy Jackson from Athletics and Beyond, he was doing these girls workshops called Girls Empowerment. And my daughter had went to a couple of them, and she actually came away with some good game. So I was like, bet, I'm gonna go holler at him. So I meet him at the Starbucks by East High School. I said, hey, bro, check it out. I see you doing these girl workshops. I said, been talking to my son and his friends, talked to our board. I think we're gonna try to do something similar. They said, we're gonna do it with boys. And he was like, oh, that's dope. He said, we've been actually having the same conversation. So we should come together. And I was like, bet. So he pulled his resources. I pulled mine. I didn't have a lot back then because we were still starting out, but I had a few, to bring, my piece to the table. And so, bro, we had our first Boys to Men workshop at Red Shield. It was like, 2010, and we had over 150 boys there. I mean, that thing was player. It was huge. But the problem with that was, how people come and they facilitate and there's no real connection, right? They look at it as a job and they're not really invested in the kids. So it was good people from the community, don't get me wrong, but they would come do that thing and they would leave. And for me, I'm like, okay, it's something that I think should be more authentic here that's missing. And so we did that one more year. We partnered one more year. The second year we had it at Montbello High School. Same thing, bro. Had about 100, 125 kids come out. It was huge. I mean, it was people everywhere. But then, I mean, same thing, had all these brothers from the community come and facilitate, but there was just no connection. And so, we after that, we sat down, we debriefed, and we just came to the agreement that, we had to divorce. It wasn't gonna work. We had one vision, they had another vision, but the name always belonged to us. So we kept the name, and they would do, their sports workshops, theme around sports, which was cool. And so we did that. And actually had to take a year off and really figure out, where we was gonna go with this Boys to Men thing. We just divorced from Athletics and Beyond, really trying to figure out how to shape this thing and make it more real and more authentic, right? And so took a year off, came back, still was pulling, you know, cats from the community, but cats that were a little more closer to our organization. First year we came back, it was good, but you know, it was still, it was all right. Now by this time, we 4 years in to this Boys to Men thing. And so now we have boys that are in college. And so I said, look, these cats been with us long enough to know how we move and how we want our message delivered. And they vested, you know what I'm saying? These is our boys. So I said, let's start reaching out to these college students that's done been through our program, and this can be a little bit more authentic with the messaging. And so the first year we did that, man, that thing was powerful. It was powerful because you could feel the energy. Like it was so pure. And I was like, this is it. This is what's been missing right here. We got to use cats that know us and, you know, was raised by us and had been around us. And so once we did that, bro, that thing took off like a skyrocket, because they right there in that age group to where these younger cats can gravitate to them. All I got to do is give them the, you know, give them the game or give them the sauce like we was back at East when I was picking them up, and they gonna go and deliver it. And so once we did that, bro, the game changed. And so that took us to a whole different level. I mean, that thing grew, and it grew quick, because they were more purposeful with, you know, how they was delivering their message. And it wasn't just quote unquote a job, and they weren't just coming through, you know, doing their thing and leaving. They were really vested or invested in these students, and they really cared about, you know, their future. And so they started taking on the role of mentoring that next generation. And so that's how all of those guys really got put on, bro. We just had them start facilitating, and then it just got better and better and better. And so that's how all of that started, and that's how it grew. So, bro, that's how the Boys to Men thing did. Now, what happened in between that was the scholarship piece started phasing out, because we had a turnover on our board. One of our board members, who was very instrumental in finding us most of that funding for that scholarship program, you know, he retired from his job, and his job was actually backing our scholarship program. And once he retired, those funds slowly started dwindling and dwindling and dwindling, which was cool, because, bro, that's a lot. That's a heavy lift. You know what I'm saying? And it was really just talking about, I mean, it was really just taking a toll, you know, on our team. And so even though, you know, we still do scholarships now, it's mostly with partnered universities where they have the money, they house the money. We just tell them who to give it to, you know, so we don't have to really touch too much and manage too much, because it was a lot of work. So we got a question from Tank.
Okay, yeah, my question.
Go ahead.
My question was, how can we push your message to the younger men that want to gangbang and be in the gang life, and not only push the message to them, but how can we make it stick to where you don't want to gangbang no more or be a part of that life?
Bro, I'm gonna tell you this. The message is out there, but, you know, I learned early on that you can't force anything on anybody. And I see Phil nodding his head, so he knows what I'm talking about. You know, we can give you all the game in the world. We can give you all of these resources in the world. You know, we can push pawns in your face all day. We can tell you where to go and get a job. I can plug you with 5 mentors right now. You know what I'm saying? I'll come pick you up, bro, and I'll show you what I do every day. That's not a problem. We got that available to you. But I need to know, one, that this is what you want, And, you know, this is what you want to be serious about, because at the end of the day, you know, my time is valuable, Phil's time is valuable, everybody's time is valuable. If you don't want it, there's 5 or 6 that do. And I'm not saying that I'll leave you out in the cold. Me, Phil, nobody doing what we do is going to turn our backs on anybody. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've even went to the same brother over and over and over and over again. And I know Phil does this every day. So I'm, you know, the message is out there, the information is out there. I got homies that's in our program right now. And you said to pull them away from that, bro, I can't pull them away. But I tell you what they do when they come around me, it ain't no foolishness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then when they leave us, you know, they go back to doing what they do. I'm not knocking them for that, but I don't think that, you know, we are in the power or the position to turn them away from anything until they're ready, you know, to turn away themselves. So I hope that answered your question. You know,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
out here, bro.
definitely.
They gotta want it. It's just like an alcoholic. When you go to them classes, you gotta take responsibility and say, hey, I have a problem. You know, you're not gonna get no help from Alcoholics Anonymous until you want to get some help from Alcoholics Anonymous.
Right. Mr. Crowley,
Yes, ma'am.
how are you?
I'm good, baby. How are you?
Good. You remember me?
No, tell me where I'll remember you from.
We was at the round table with Dr. Hickenlooper or with Governor Hickenlooper.
Oh yeah. Yep, I remember you now.
So my question is, I just want to, how do I get involved? Because I have nephews, and I also would like to sit with you and have a sit down and chop it up about some things, because I got some things going on in that mentorship realm as well as working with Phil. So I just want to know, how can I get like young people who are longing for that, are needing it and wanting it, involved with your mentorship program, or just what you do?
Definitely. I'm gonna give you so here's the let me give you, I'm trying to think of the best way to answer the question. So here's the easy thing to do. And so for you to connect with me, or me, you can sit down, whatever. I'll give you my number, and then you could just call me and we can figure that out.
Okay.
Right. So I'll just put it out there right now. Everybody can have it. You know, I'm not hiding. Back in the day, we used to say I'm in the white pages. So it's 720
Okay.
935
Okay.
6465.
Okay.
That's the first piece. And you can get that number to anybody that wants to get connected. You know, you can have them start there. And then the other way I would tell you is you can text Crowley to this number, and that number is 22828. And that'll ask you for your email address. You respond with your email address, that'll get you on the email distribution list automatically. So that'll keep you in the loop on top of all the activities. And so it's not an application process. Once you start coming to activities and events, you basically in. You know, like I was telling my man, you know, you got to come around and stay around and act like this is what you want. You know what I'm saying? So I get that question all the time. Well, you know, my son needs mentoring. You know, my nephew needs mentoring. You know, I meet him once. You know, you don't want to come around no more. So, you know, mentoring is a two-way street.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So just like anything else. So that's one way to get connected.
And I just connected y'all on Facebook too.
And that was another thing. Follow us on Facebook. Go to the Crowley Foundation. Most of our events are on there. All of our scholarships that we post scholarships every Saturday. That's on there. Anything that we're doing in the community, event-wise or programming-wise, when it comes to Boys to Men, is on there as well. So like that page, and whatever you want to do, just sign up, register, or just holler at your boy. You know you in.
Already. I had a quick question too.
Yep.
You know, with the work that we're doing out here and the time that we're investing in the community, how do you deal with the loss of a youth that you work with?
Bro.
I mean, I asked that specifically looking for solutions for myself.
Yeah.
You know, me and Jeff, the work that we doing is not easy. How do you deal?
Bro, I don't really think that there is, you know, any one way to deal. I think we have to find what works for us, and just try to, you know, just push past that. And so, you know, I'll be honest, you know, I found, like, I'll take Nate for example. So when Nate passed, bro, that shit hit us hard. Like we still talk about him to this day. We started to push this podcast now, just, you know, for this COVID-19 check-in on all our boys since we can't see them. And in those conversations, you know, these cats are still hurting, and that has came up a few times. And so we still dealing with it. I don't think no one has actually gotten over it, but, you know, it was rough in the beginning. And, you know, I had to really stop and think about, okay, what information do I give people, right? When this happens to them. So I had to really start taking my own medicine. And what I mean by that is, you know, I would tell them, well, you know, I got this therapist, blah, 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 blah. We got these resources, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, damn, okay. Let me call homie and just, you know, have a conversation with him, you know. And so the first answer is, bro, I have a psychotherapist that I have to talk to. And again, that's one of the stigmas or stereotypes that we as men, particularly we as Black men, don't like to do. Is talk about our feelings, right? We've been taught and conditioned to bottle it up. You know, it's not cool to talk about, you know, I'm hurting, you know, I've been crying all week. But bro, that's BS, and that's a lie from the devil himself. So I have a therapist, brother, that I go and I sit on his couch and we have real conversations. You know, he put me on, you know, to some breathing exercises, some meditation. So I started doing that. But then what has really helped me feel is, man, I had to just start really relying on the brothers that was in my circle that I knew wouldn't judge me, that I knew really cared about me. And, you know, they took it a step further, bro, and they started coming around checking on me without me calling on them or asking them to. They just popping up, bro, at the crib, like, I got something for you and your wife. I got something for you and your family. You know, they would come and really start taking some of this load and this burden off of us. Like, what do you need me to do? You need me to check on some kids today? What type of programming you got going on? So just surrounding myself with those real, authentic people really helped me a lot. But in terms of like my whole mental, spiritual, you know, emotional feelings, bro, you got to find somebody to talk to. You got to do that. You got to do that, brother. Oh, one more. I got another chapter. I forgot about this chapter. We good so far? Where we at on time, Phil?
Yeah, we good. We got about 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. So this last chapter added, I think this was the cherry on the top in terms of the different chapters and the different stages and phases that I was walking you guys through. So this last chapter really played another major role in terms of making me. And that was when I made the decision to walk away from my corporate job to really run and manage the Crowley Foundation full time. So I was working at AT&T. I had a great job. I was making 80 racks a year, awesome benefits, you know, but the demand and the needs of the community and the Crowley Foundation really started growing. I found myself, you know, I started skipping out, sneaking out of my job, bro, taking extra long lunches. And it was never really a problem. You know, I was a manager, so I had flexibility, you know, but my manager was like, well, you've been gone for 3 hours, you know what I'm saying? All of this type of stuff. And like I said, it was never a problem, but it just got to the point to where, you know, I shouldn't have to make a decision about my community or this little raggedy job. I never been one to chase money, you know, and even in our organization, we still don't quote unquote chase money, not like that. I always believe that God had really, you know, put this purpose and this vision in me for a reason. And he's actually been providing in more ways than I could ever imagine. And so for me, when I walked away from that job, it was kind of hard. But bro, after a couple of days of really thinking about it, it was the best decision that I ever made. Because like I said, you walking away from, you know, full benefits, 80 racks a year.
Security.
And you know, yeah, security. And you know that you're getting ready to walk into something. Number one, it's not going to be 80 racks a year. You know what I mean? But this is where you really got to start looking at your values and what's important, right? And so, you know, being a corporate guy, you know, doing all of that, you know, talking to people, letting people talk crazy to you, you know, I was just like, nah, I'm cool on this. You're not fixing to talk crazy to me today. That's not what we're doing. So you know, I had an opportunity to walk away with a severance package, and it was an opportunity that has never been offered before, you know, to managers to really volunteer for a layoff. It was always offered to everybody else, like occupational workers. It was never offered to management. And so this particular time when it was offered to management, I was like, oh, this gotta be a sign, you know what I'm saying? Like, this has never happened and all of a sudden it's happening now. And so, bro, when the opportunity came, I thought about it, came home, talked to my family, prayed about it. And then about a week later, man, I pulled the trigger and I said, I'm done. Shocked everybody, at least, you know, some of the ones who really didn't know me, but the ones who really knew me, they said, I knew you would take the package.
Yeah.
And so that was the icing on the cake, bro, the cherry on top. When I walked away from my corporate job, bro, it just was like doors begin to open. Doors begin to open. Doors begin to open. You know what I mean? So, you know, when you really have a gift or a vision or idea or whatever, number one, there's no time limit on it, right? So don't think that everything has to happen right now or overnight. And then number two, if you ever in a position to jump or to leap, man, take it. Take that leap, jump. Trust me. It will be fine. It will all work out, especially if it's something that's been burning in you, you know, for however long. Jump, and act on it. Everything will work out for you. Trust me. I'm telling you what I know, not what I heard.
Yes, indeed. All right. If let's say so if they ain't catch nothing that you had said this whole time, bro.
Yeah.
What's one message that you will leave us with if we ain't catch nothing this whole time?
If you didn't catch nothing this whole time, you know, I want to tell you that. I want to tell you that you know, everyone on this call is going through something. You know, we being transformed into a higher expression of ourselves. So I want to just encourage you. You know, how we come out of this is going to determine who we are or who we're destined to be. The power of transformation is real. The battleground is right here. It's in our mind, right? The battleground is in our mind. Stop wrestling with yourself. Stop lying to yourself. You are powerful. You are strong. You know, it's what we think and believe about ourselves and in our mind that's not right. You know, that's worthless. So, you know, clothes don't matter. You know, cars don't matter, houses don't matter. What's important is having a strong mind and a strong mindset, a healthy mind. So if your mind ain't right, you know, you can't serve others because you can't serve yourself, right? So get your mind, body, and spirit together, right? Don't quit because you make the difference, right? If you want to start that business, finish school, you know, write that book, whatever it is, stay encouraged. So that's what I'm gonna leave y'all with.
Already.
Yes, sir.
Any comments?
Yep, thank you. I appreciate you for your AOST. I will be in touch. Don't forget me.
Phil, thank you for having me, man.
Man, I appreciate you. I
For
appreciate
real, for real.
Yes, indeed. You knock him out there, bro.
Bro, I'm gonna go on and be authentic with you. You see, we ready, we barbershop hungry over here.
All right.
All right, man. Love you, baby.
You too, bro.
All right, stay up.
Peace.